What's up, guys? Super fun one for you. Today we're going into niche.com to read reviews on what people are saying about living in Rochester, New York. And we're getting into it right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name's Anthony. I'm with the American home team at EXP here in Rochester in the Finger Lakes region. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every Tuesday and Thursday that I release a new video. And with that being said, as much as I love making these videos on all things pertaining eating, sleeping, breathing, playing, living in Rochester and Finger Lakes region, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So be sure to reach out to that number and that email that's on the screen there. I am the guy that answers those texts, emails, and phone calls. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, it's never too soon to get the process started, especially if you're moving from out of state. And with that being said, today we're going into niche.com and we're going to be reading reviews of people who have either lived in Rochester or are currently living in Rochester. And we're going over what they have to say about it. And I'll be making some of my remarks as well. So let's get into it. This is going to be fun. Let's go. All right, guys. So let's get right into it. Let me share my screen here. So this is niche.com. And so all of this is the opinions of the people on niche.com, and the statistics that you see are from niche.com's data. So I believe that all of this is from 2021, which means it's, you know, a few years outdated, but not terribly outdated. If we were to update the numbers a little bit, it wouldn't be drastically different. So getting right into it, Rochester, New York, 3 stars out of 5. And just some quick stats for you. Population, 211,000. Obviously, you can read this. Median income, 30,000, almost 31,000. Median age is 31. Unemployment, 9.8. That's pretty staggering. Median home price, 131,000-ish. And then comfort index, as far as the climate goes in the weather, summertime 9.3, wintertime 3.9. So reverse there. Wintertime is pretty harsh, especially for a lot of you moving out of state. You're not coming from a area that has winters or long winters. And then 9.3, pretty comfortable. Going into a few more statistics here. The economy unemployment rate is 9.8%, which is higher, 3.8% higher than the US average. So recent job growth is positive. Jobs have only increased by 0.8% though. So nothing like crazy. We've mentioned employment in many other videos. It's just, you know, it is what it is. Cost of living, we're 16.8% lower than the US national average. So that's pretty significant. Weather and climate, August, July, June are the most pleasant months in Rochester. We're starting to get into that right now as of the recording of this video. While January and February are the least comfortable months, meaning there's a ton of snow and it gets pretty brutally cold. And the wind chill effect is pretty bad as well. So voting, oh boy, we're talking politics here. In the last presidential election, Monroe County remained overwhelmingly Democratic, 59.3% to 38.2%. So yeah, I mean, as most cities are going to vote that way, right? So let's see, population 211,100 people. That is a decline of 1.2% since 2020. So there's a few reasons for that that I won't necessarily get into on this video. Let's just say that it's probably what was mentioned up here in the voting, and then weather as well plays a factor in it. And so let's see other important points. Schools. Public schools spend $26,442 per student. The average school expenditure in the US is $12,000. So schools in Rochester spend significantly more money per student than the national average. Now let's get into the fun stuff, the stuff that you came here for. So where are those reviews? Right here. There's 78 reviews. So again, 3 stars out of 5. This first one here as of December 28th of 2022. So fairly recent. Let's see. Rochester isn't perfect. I'll detail pros and cons. But it's certainly perfect for me and my husband. We lived here for 4 years and are getting ready to purchase our first home here. Pros: affordable housing, decent and affordable public transit if you live in the city. So again, you can pay I think it's like a quarter or $1 or something for the public transit, the bus system. All 4 seasons, you do get all 4 seasons. That's a fact. Traffic is not really a concern compared to other cities. That's a big one that we've noticed, is that, you know, out in Denver, right, or other areas like North Carolina or Florida or, you know, Texas or wherever, California maybe especially, you're dealing with traffic. And so you might be in like hour-long standstills, and you got to plan accordingly to go to work and get back from work or whatever. And it's not really an issue here. Traffic really is not that bad. So let's see, it's a perfect size. It's a mid-sized city. So many festivals, farmers markets, flea markets, so much history and pride in the city. Proximity to Canadian border makes for fun, quick weekend trips. That's true. A lot of people like to go up to Canada and go to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls and hit the casinos up there. And they got some really nice hotels that look over the falls, and that's pretty cool. Getting into this one more, let's see what cons it has. Crime. Yeah, crime is pretty bad in Rochester. It is a very concerning thing, like they said. Not many options for townhomes or condos if you're not interested in purchasing a single family home. That is also true. We're definitely abundant on the single family homes, but not necessarily on the condos and townhomes. That's true. Not many options for supermarkets outside of Wegmans. Yeah, there's Walmart. Now, Whole Foods did just open up in Brighton, which is pretty important. That's really close to the city of Rochester, right outside, maybe a, 5-10 minute drive. So you can go to Whole Foods now. Wegmans is going to be the big one though. There are Tops friendly markets though. And then, there's a Priceless or something like that has some cheaper food as well. So much snow. Yeah, winters are rough. We've mentioned that time and time again on all of our videos. They're saying the pros outweigh the cons. The upside is all of the winter activities in the proximities, ski mountain resorts like Ellicottville, which is over toward Buffalo, or Bristol Mountain, which is right here near my hometown of Canandaigua. It's in South Bristol. So highly recommend visiting Rochester for yourself and see all that it has to offer. We love the Flower City. Good review here by Jahisha. Scenic city with lots to do. So 5 stars. Rochester is a scenic city with so much to offer in terms of things to do and having 4 seasons, except in the summer is more like a long spring. It's a relatively unknown city that is being revitalized with lots of money being pumped in from the government. Lots of snow, but not as cold as it should be. Southern tier and eastern parts of New York State is colder because of proximity to Great Lakes and the Finger Lakes. Love living here. Yeah, so true. All, good points. So let's see this one here. Rochester lives up to his nickname. Let's read this one. This should be good. The crime rate is out of control, at least 1 homicide a week, if not daily. The city government is corrupt. The mayor recently resigned so she wouldn't go to prison, and her husband is facing gun and drug charges. That did happen. This portion here, that is true. Not to mention, she put all her relatives in positions within the city. True. The police department has been neutered by the previously mentioned mayor. Welfare fraud is rampant. True. Traffic is miserable due to the never-ending road construction. So that is not true. As we mentioned in the last part, if there is road construction, obviously that's going to make it a little bit tougher. But that's not consistent. It's not a constant thing. Traffic is not that bad. It's a mid-sized city. You don't have like a ton of people flowing in and out of it. So the economy is a slowly sinking ship. Even Wegmans, the flagship store of Rochester, is floundering with prices being raised daily and quality going down. What was once a beautiful, culturally advanced city is becoming a wasteland of crime with no punishment. Yeah, so this last portion here, what was once a beautiful, culturally advanced city is becoming a wasteland of crime with no punishment. That's true. So bail reform up in the city of Rochester is pretty out of control. Susan nailed it here. It sounds like a lot of these comments here are pretty politically charged. And so what I will tell you is just, the politics we had mentioned on the first page that we had, the city votes predominantly Democratic. And in Rochester, you see the consequences of that. And so, you know, and you guys can read the comments in the YouTube comments as well. People, that is the aspect of Rochester that people hate. So that's not my personal opinion or just this one personal opinion. It's not that. It's a lot of people. So the economy is a slowly sinking ship. Yeah, I can't really confirm nor deny, but you know, with the population decreasing 1.2% per year, if not more than that, I think we may be watching that continue over the next, you know, couple years if things don't change. The police department has been neutered by the previously mentioned mayor. Yeah, so I have a few friends who are in the Rochester PD, and they feel stuck. They feel like they can't really do anything because they know they're not backed up. The whole movement that we've had recently of defund the police and that kind of stuff, Rochester has been a big part of that. And as far as the police being defunded, they're not protected and they're not backed up like they should be. And so a lot of them feel like they can't really do their jobs effectively. And because they're not safe out on the streets either. So there are some truths to this, and obviously there's some politically charged claims here that you can take with a grain of salt, maybe. If you look at the agree versus disagree, 320 agrees, 190 disagrees. This scenic city with lots to do, the 5-star, 259 disagrees, 143 agrees. Yeah, so I've lived in Rochester for my whole life until I couldn't take it anymore, so I moved. Rochester used to be a place with great opportunity. Not anymore. The lack of jobs, nothing to do but go to Wegmans and the Lilac Festival. So this isn't true here, but okay, I see what you're saying. Increased crime, rude people. Rude people is really a perspective thing. It's also how you know, we don't know how this Crystal lady treats people. And the further deterioration of the city under Lovely Warren's watch has made it a very crappy place to live. So Mayor Lovely Warren was that mayor in the previous comment who had those charges against her and her husband, and most people in and around Rochester are going to say that she almost single-handedly has, you know, made Rochester far worse. So let's see, my friends and family that live there are now thinking of moving, as many businesses have closed down with the opening of crappy jobs because of COVID-19. My cousin had to get a remote job out of town as there aren't any jobs in Rochester. Yeah, the employment here it's tough. It's tough. Oftentimes you have to go to some of the surrounding areas. The only jobs available working are factory, grocery stores, gas stations, or running your own businesses or freelancing. So in many of the surrounding areas, there's a lot of factories. But at the grocery stores, Wegmans is a great employer. Wegmans is one of the top employers in the nation, and they're only really on the East Coast here. And, you know, running your own businesses or freelancing, honestly, I wish that more people would do that anyway, just to escape corporate America. That's my own personal thoughts, but there is a great market out here for this kind of stuff. People like supporting the small businesses in our area. And so if this is you, if you think you can run a small business or do a freelance type thing, whether it's, you know, photography, videography, or whatever, you could make a lot of money doing that and be very successful. People are knifing each other down for a few and crappy race to the bottom jobs left. When I was in Rochester, I was part of a young adult group there, and everyone was complaining and whining about how Rochester sucks. Most left that year and were puzzled when people left better places, left for better places to live at that dump. Now I live in Baltimore, Maryland. Oh my God, the opportunities. Well, okay, so we can compare the two cities. We can compare crime rates. We can compare, of course, that's a large city. Rochester is a mid-sized city. When you're talking about employment, of course, a larger city is going to have more employment, more opportunity. Of course, you can't compare the two. But look at Baltimore as far as the economy and as far as crime goes, right? I think that it's probably worse than Rochester. So, you know, I think that some of these are pretty misconstrued, or skewed rather. If you are considering moving to Rochester, don't. There are way better places to live than Rochester. So that's just one person's opinion. Yeah, you know, of course things are going to be like that. They moved to Baltimore. Like, Baltimore is not a much better city, but it's way bigger. Like, you can't really compare the two cities. So let's see what Zara said. She's got a middle of the road review here. Says, it's okay. I lived in Rochester. It's a pretty nice place. It's very safe. When we moved here, my daughter was starting 7th grade. She wears a hijab, a headscarf. She was worried that she would get bullied because of it, but I told her not to worry. She did get bullied. She informed the principal and the kids got suspended. Well, that's good. That only made things worse, though. The bullying got so bad that me and my husband decided to move her to a new school. She was treated better there. Yeah, so of course it depends on what schools you go to that are going to be more accepting versus schools that aren't. I will say a lot of the city schools aren't going to be very accepting of people who aren't like them. And then you get into some of the outlying schools, say maybe, I'm not going to name names, but there are some schools that are opposite, I think, of that. So some of the outlying schools, they're going to be, I don't know if you want to like say country club, right? Something like that, where they're, again, they might be so extreme to the other side, they may not be accepting of people that aren't like them. But a majority of the schools in the surrounding areas are very accepting. They're going to accept you exactly how you are, and you'll find a good group of people that you're going to fit in with. So it seems like their concern was like bullying in school. Kids are ruthless. I think kids oftentimes are some of the worst people in the world as far as like judgment goes and things like that. Obviously we love kids, we need kids, and I have kids and, you know, whatever, but as far as judgment goes and stuff, kids are pretty bad with that. So, but otherwise she said it's very safe. So there's the contrary belief right there, right? A lot of people say it's not safe. Statistics show that the city as a whole is not very safe, but anecdotal experience, a lot of people think that it's safe. So this reply, are you living in an alternate universe? Rochester is a sewer of human garbage. Okay, now that's just like, I don't know. Again, you can see people have some terrible perspectives on the city, on the area, which is fine. That's going to be every single city. Just know that when you're coming here, but it's important to read these reviews and see what people have to say. So this one, it's another 5-star. Moved here for a job at a self-defense contractor in 2017. There's a few of those in Henrietta. One negative, you have to find a way to make winter positive. Get the right gear and find winter outdoor activities. So yeah, that's exactly what we say on this channel is you need to make use of the winter. Go skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, ice skating, you know, do all the outdoor activities that you can possibly find. It'll make winter go by faster for one, and you'll just enjoy it more. It's gonna get your mind off of how bad being in the cold sucks, right? Growing up, I used to love it because we were active in the wintertime. Now I don't love it so much because I don't do those things anymore. But I also realize that I don't love the winter anymore because I don't do those things. So I know that if I do things, you know, I'll feel differently about it. So yeah, winter, it's winter. After that, the area is great. Low traffic, great waterway access, up and coming restaurant scene. True. People are not initially overly friendly, but generally honest and genuine when you get to know them. Culture and art, etc. Finger Lakes region is beautiful. Yeah, so Mark is pretty on par with this. Not initially overly friendly. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a weird concept, because what do? Go up and like introduce yourself to every single person you pass on the street and like spark up a conversation? There's a weird line there. But when people here in Rochester get to talking to people, they are very friendly. They are very courteous and genuine, and you know, a lot of people are open books here. You know, they like to go out and meet friends and meet new people, and like we mentioned in many other videos, Buffalo is the city of friendly neighbors, and Rochester is second behind it, just being neighbors. So I think that's true. Culture and art, yes, there's a huge culture and art scene. Finger Lakes region is beautiful. Yeah, that's major attraction there for a lot of people moving here. And see this, 355 agreed and 188 disagreed. So it seems like more people agree with this than some of the other ones. Yeah, so this one, 1 star. Looks like it has a really long reply to it. So this is Bob from Athens, Georgia, or lives in Athens, Georgia. I lived in Rochester for 10 years. It's like going to a frozen wasteland. To imagine living there and to simulate the conditions, crawl into your freezer and close the door for 9 months. The biggest event is a flower festival, the Lilac Fest. It will remind you of a retirement home. The most exciting thing to do on a Friday is to hang out at the Wegmans grocery store. Okay, so again, like these are people that I feel like they just have a terrible outlook on life. I bet you they're saying the same thing about Athens, Georgia, where they're living now, right? Or similar things. The biggest event is a flower festival, the Lilac Fest. Yeah, we just had that. That is a great event that goes on, but it's not a retirement home. You go, there's many young families that go, and they have live music, they have, you know, beer tasting, they have food tasting, food trucks, all sorts of entertainment going on there. It's by far a retirement home. Like, it's not even close. So I think just a skewed perspective on things. The title of his is, if you do not like seeing the sun, you will love it. Yeah, like Rochester and the Finger Lakes region are, statistically, I've said this a bunch, statistically is not one of the sunniest places in the country. It's in fact one of the opposite, one of the least sunny places in the country. So, you know, it is what it is. That's just the area that we live in. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, this whole week is going to be beautiful and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. So far this spring we've had beautiful weather and we've seen the sun quite a bit. I'm actually rocking some nice farmer tan. So, I mean, the sun has been out, but it's true. We are one of the least sunny areas in the United States. But the most exciting thing to do on a Friday is to hang out at Wegmans. People do like to go to Wegmans because it's a great place, but it's not just like groceries. It's, you know, going to the food market or it's got a restaurant in it. So like, yeah, you can go hang out at the restaurant. They oftentimes Fridays, they play live music and they have beer tasting and things like that over there. So it's not just like a grocery store. I think that's a wild misrepresentation of what happens. But they're also ignoring Seabreeze or the zoo or any of the museums that we have going on or anything to do with nature in the area, right? It's just a wild misrepresentation of the area. And I think that these people leaving these reviews saying that there's nothing to do, I think that they're ignorant to the things that we do have to do, because there's a ton. I just released a video on 10 things to do for families, and that is 10 of maybe like 150 different things to do. Like, there's a lot going on. All right, this one should be interesting. I just saw some things. So they gave a 1 star. This is David from Rancho Palos Verdes, California. I lived in Rochester the majority of my life thus far. Then 5 years ago, I moved to Syracuse and found it to be worse. So eventually I made my way to Seattle and now live in LA. After not suffering crappy, cold, snowy winters the past 3 years, I know one thing. I would never go back to that crap hole. So much better for everything else as well. I live in a real city, treat people, sunshine, palm trees, jobs. I mean, real jobs with real pay. I'm well into the 6 figures. In Rochester, this would probably equivocate to $70,000 a year. Oh, and I see the ocean every weekend when I ride my bike on the 20-mile trail in my shorts and t-shirt. So yeah, better places, stay away. All right, so let's address this quick. Real jobs with real pay, I'm talking 6 figures. In Rochester, this would probably equivocate to $70,000. So talking about this, when you're living in LA, your cost of living is at least 5 times higher than Rochester. So while you're making 6 figures in LA, you're probably taking home far less money. You're probably paying that in groceries and travel and gas and your car payments, like, or insurance and all sorts of other shit that you're paying. So you can't even compare cost of living in LA to Rochester, and you can't even compare the price or the money that you make. In order to be equivalent in making the money, $70,000 here in Rochester, you have to be making something like $300,000 in LA to even just make it relevant, like even a topic of conversation. So you can't even compare the pay. Well into the 6 figures, cool, you know, but again, you're paying way more for everything else. I see the ocean every weekend. Yeah, okay, cool. You live on the coast as well. That's great. you know, I would love seeing the ocean too. But I mean, if you're living in upstate New York, you expect you don't have the ocean here. And so, I mean, this is just kind of a weird, I don't even know what to say about this. A real city, treat people, sunshine, palm trees, jobs. Yeah, so sunshine and palm trees. So sunshine we addressed, you know, just before. Palm trees, yeah, we don't live in a tropical area or, you know, a super warm area. Like, we're not gonna have palm trees. And you move to Seattle. Seattle's like one of the least sunny places in the country as well. And it rains every day. Like, I don't know. Some of these reviews, you can just see like some of the people that are making these reviews, like, yeah, some of them are pretty relevant, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of it is just, I don't know, just weird people, kind of weird anecdotal type stuff, which is fine. Everybody has their own opinions on things, so that's all fine and dandy. But that's why I wanted to read these reviews to you, because I saw some interesting ones and just thought that it would be funny to get people's experiences, right? So you have some 5 stars, you have some 1 stars, you have some in between. And that's what you're going to get anywhere. If you go to LA or you go to Baltimore or you go to Tampa, Florida, or, you know, wherever, you're going to find reviews that are all over the board like that. And that's just the fact of the matter. Is some of them, like I said, some of the negatives here are relevant. The weather, some of the politics in the city, right? The mayor, like some of these things are relevant, but you can see the attitudes of some of the people leaving the reviews here. They're probably not indicative of you and your family or representative of you and your family. So keep that in mind as you're reading through these. But, you know, that different video that I decided to do here. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you stuck around to, you know, listen to some of these. If you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every Tuesday and Thursday that I release a new video. And with that being said, as much as I love making these videos for you on all things living, breathing, eating, sleeping, playing in the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number and that email that's popping up on the bottom of your screen, be sure to give me a call, text, or email. I am the guy that answers those calls, texts, and emails. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, it's never too soon to start the process. So feel free to reach out, hit me up, and I would love to engage with you guys. So that being said, we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.